What is the stupidest way you've injured yourself? When I was a kid, maybe 10 or so, I had recently discovered that the feet on my prosthetics could be unscrewed and moved into different positions, so I borrowed an Allen key from my dad and took it to school so I could unscrew my feet and show my friends at recess. None of them were as blown away by this as I'd hoped, pretty sure they were just used to this kind of thing by now, haha. Anyway, the bell went to tell us to go back to class and I very quickly tightened the feet back onto the prosthetics, put my shoes back on and started making my way back to class. As I was walking with a group of my classmates, I started to notice my legs felt wobbly. I looked down and with every step my feet were turning outwards slightly. A normal person would have come to the conclusion, oh, I didn't tighten the screws up enough. But not me. I jumped to the conclusion of holy shit, I can control my feet like a robot. My excitement quickly turned to dread when I realized I don't know how to control feet. Been an amputee since I was a baby, and they kept turning until one was pointing sideways. Despite this I kept trying to walk and after a few more steps the foot just fell off and I managed to slam the now footless prosthetic down, which jarred my knee and hips and caused me to slip over and face plant into the corner of a cement mini wall, one of those waist-high walls. Being a self-respecting 10-year, I started bawling my eyes out, which caught the attention of the new teacher. It's her first day and the only disabled student is in pieces. The foot got thrown backwards when it fell off, with a bloodied nose, screaming like a banshee. She didn't really know what to do since I couldn't get back up, so she gave me some tissues for my nose and made a very confused call to the maintenance man asking if he knows how to fix prosthetics so I can get to the school nurse. DLDR, my prosthetic foot fell off and I face planted into a cement wall. Bending over to pick up a paper bag. A completely empty paper grocery store bag. It was standing upright, not even laying on the floor. I barely had to even bend down to pick it up. Somehow this triggered a cosmic alignment between two vertebrae and nerve cluster because suddenly I fell to the floor in crippling pain, could not get my back straight and had to crawl to the living room so I could lay on the carpeted floor and try to stretch it out. I ended up fucked up like this for days and had to have physical therapy to slowly work out the pinched nerve. I was basically walking like Quasimodo for a couple weeks. People would assume I was in an accident or lifting some boulder like Hercules or saving a child pinned under a car. But nope. I was undone by an empty paper bag. I dropped something behind my couch, leaned over the back to pick it up and cracked a rib. Was in pain for a week. Getting old as hell. Bartender here. Reached a little extra to wipe the bar for new guests on a busy night. Popped a rib. 6 weeks later still hurts a bit if I sleep on it. Kicker was I then adjusted my breathing because of the pain so my diaphragm became irritated. I adjusted again and then my abs started to hurt. Adjusted again and now it's diaphragm, abs, and obliques. That was the longest weekend of my life. I honestly thought I was dying that Saturday. But I didn't have a fever so I figured it was a bizarre injury. Which it was. Like I said, still hurts if I do it wrong, but the muscle pain is gone. I got out of a long, hot shower and noticed a thread dangling off of my shirt, and when I tried to pull it out it just neatly sliced through several millimeters of my finger. It was so minor I can hardly even call it an injury, but getting cut by a shirt is definitely the stupidest I've had. Showering at a hotel in a small stall with a slippery tile floor. Bent over to wash my feet. My butt hit the tap handle. I slipped, put my hands out to save myself and violently slammed the glass shower door open. I bashed my forehead and bridge of nose on the tile floor. Had a major nosebleed and a giant goose egg on my forehead. I don't have bangs to cover that up. I thought I had escaped without the black eyes I expected after bashing my nose, but 2 days later I woke up with deep purple swollen eyelids. Luckily I had packed my seldom used makeup to cover the worst of it, and I wore a hat in the daytime. I'm still shocked the shower door didn't shatter when it hit the wall. I got my boosted board for Christmas last year. A day or two after I was goofing around with my best friend with it. We're really dumb. We were going full throttle with the board and then braking to a full stop so the momentum would launch us into the grass. We were on a driveway. So we did this for about an hour and we both slipped off a couple times when going fast. We also just got some scrapes because of launching into the grass at like 15-20 miles per hour. It was really fun. The next day my mum needs some groceries and the store is close to my house. I decide to go on my boosted board for fun to get them. When coming back, I ride up my driveway and decide to repeat my stupid stunt again with the groceries in my hand. I didn't think of how to groceries. I got my boosted board for Christmas last year. A day or two after I was goofing around with my best friend with it. We're really dumb. We were going full throttle with the board and then braking to a full stop so the momentum would launch us into the grass. We were on a driveway. So we did this for about an hour and we both slipped off a couple times when going fast. We also just got some scrapes because of launching into the grass at like 15-20 miles per hour. It was really fun. The next day my mum needs some groceries and the store is close to my house. I decide to go on my boosted board for fun to get them. When coming back, I ride up my driveway and decide to repeat my stupid stunt again with the groceries in my hand. I didn't think of how to groceries could end up. When I start to brake, I lose my balance and fall off. I land on my damn foot on the side and basically fold it. I start rolling around on the ground in pain. Luckily, my aunts had just come for the dinner I was getting groceries for and saw the whole thing. They carry me and the sad bag of ruined groceries inside. For the rest of the day, my foot is swollen as all hell. When my older brother comes in to say hi to me later while I was watching Oliver and Company with my girlfriend, he didn't know I hurt my foot. Because my foot is elevated in the air and he's a jerk, he decides to use my food as a target and slap it as hard as he could. I scream Bloody Mary and everyone comes to really look at it. Everyone thought it was a slight bruise when I first came in. As soon as I screamed, they decide I should maybe go to the doctor. Soon, I find out my foot is fractured. I wasn't on my boosted board for a while after that. I learned to not be an idiot with my board again. I live in the West Yorkshire countryside and as a kid me and my mates went off into the woods. I must have been around 9 years old. We all got into a game of hide and seek, and split into 2 teams. We had been hiding for around 3 hours me and my mate. It had started to get dark so we decided to go for a wander. We had been hiding for so long all of the other team had decided to go home. They had only caught one of our team so there's still 5 lads still hiding in woods. We had to try and let them know that the game was off because the other team had bailed. So we began walking around shouting out our friends' names. After about half an hour we had gathered up all but one of the lads. We assumed he had probably bailed too. We set off on the long walk home through the woods and it was around 8:30 p.m. As we were walking we came across what appeared to be a pond. It was the middle of overly warm summer for Yorkshire standards and I decided to take a dip. I stood on the banking, stripped off to my undies and proceeded to dive headfirst straight into what turned out to be a 2-inch deep pool of water that flowed through the wood. I broke my shoulder, my neck and my back. I laid in the stream freezing cold crying my out for about 2 hours. I was airlifted to hospital and didn't leave Leeds General for 9 months. Thankfully I was young and did eventually bounce back, and am fit and healthy and will never dive into any water again without knowing how bloody deep it is. Oh boy, my time to shine. Age 2, stuck a nail in an electrical socket. 3, ran into a telephone pole while riding my bicycle. Age 7, was playing with a razor blade that my dog had pulled out of the trash and completely sliced off the tip of my finger. Promptly passed out and was found hours later by my mum coming home from night shift. Please don't ask why, I was 7 and very impulsive. 16. Had wisdom teeth out. Apparently anesthesia stays in my system longer than normal. A few days go by and I'm sitting in the dining room talking to my mum. Everything starts going black and I manage to utter "you are" before smashing jaw first onto the tile floor. One side of my face was swollen, I looked a bit like a chipmunk. 18. Went to grab something out of the trunk of my car. My car was parked in the driveway, which is at a bit of a slope. Reached in to grab something, which I have done many times before with the car parked exactly like it was, and the trunk slammed down onto the back of my head. Nice little gash. Lots of blood. I managed to make it inside before passing out that time. 20. Cleaning kitchen. Go to drain the water after washing dishes, and the sink strainer is stuck. Really stuck. I'm trying to pull it out with brute strength, and managed to slice my hand open on it instead. This time I puked instead of fully losing consciousness. 29. Decide to be no Betty Crocker and bake homemade bread. The Pyrex either shattered when I took it out of the oven and it hit cold air, or I dropped it. It happened rather quickly, so I'm not exactly sure. But I ended up with glass in my foot. I've just moved here, I know very few people, and my spouse is gone out of town for work. I have 2 small children and 3 big dogs running around the house, glass literally from the front door to the back door. Managed to get a hold of a neighbor, who takes me to the ER where they attempt to remove it. Notice I said attempt. They sent me home with glass in my foot and told me to contact a podiatrist. They were sure it was stuck in bone or a ligament. I had glass in my foot for 20 hours total. 3 stitches. 3 weeks in a boot. Not fun times. I now wear house shoes in the kitchen. 30. Walking across the playground. No holes in the ground, just a normal wood chip covered playground surface, and managed to fracture a bone spur on the top of my foot, requiring surgery months later. Luckily, I already had a podiatrist,